is on. Okay. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming out and watching me speak. I'm not nervous at all, so thank you for your smiles.
It shows.
Okay, this is me. My friends call me Angie. That's what you can call me, too. I am originally from Michigan. I moved to Maui a decade ago. I'm a recovering former language arts teacher that turned photographer. I've been faking it since 2014. I pretend I know what I'm doing, but a lot of it is just trial and error, which I'm going to be talking about a lot here. This is from my teaching days here. I firmly believe in KISS. Do you guys know what this means, this acronym? Keep it simple, stupid, right? The more things that you add in, the more complicated it gets. I like to do single light setups. I'm going to be talking about that here in a second. Okay, so this is the part where you guys are going to look at me like I'm a crazy person because I'm about to complain about Hawaii. Okay, I know I'm not going to get any sympathy. You're not going to feel sorry for me, but I have a point to this, I promise. Okay, Hawaii problems. First, we have a lot of wind. Over here, here's a hurricane happening to the north, and her veil is pulling all of her hair down and end up flying off later. We have a lot of wind issues we deal with. Also a lot of surf and just lots of salt in the air. So that's terrible for your equipment, of course, and terrible for your flash stuff. And sand, sand, sand everywhere, all the sand. And I say this because when I'm doing light setups, I need things that are quick and simple, and if it gets knocked over or it gets a little bit wet, I can just take it home and rinse it off. MagMod is great for that. You guys feel sorry for me yet? No, that's okay. That's okay. So MagMod makes my job look easy. I can set up all my lights very quickly and easily. Hi. They're lightweight. I can easily control the light, and they're perfect for solo shooting, which is what I do a lot of. So I'm going to talk about three things today in my very short presentation. Solo shooting portraits, one light setups for portraits that'll make you look like a boss. Reception lighting, 2 to 3 flashes for dramatic lighting, and then creative portraiture using double exposure with MagMod. Okay, so solo shooting, 1 flash, 1 shooter, 2 go-to setups. I like to backlight. I like to backlight a lot. If you look at my Instagram, it's a lot of backlighting. My friends laugh at me about this, but I do it for very specific reasons. This is like my go-to setup for it. 1 flash about 5 feet behind the couple, pointing at their hips. I like to angle it up a little bit. I use it half to full power. I throw a sphere on there, as I like how that rounds out the light and diffuses it a little bit. And I use it in these 3 circumstances. So you guys know what the blue hour is, civil twilight? When the sun is about 6 degrees below the horizon. I see a lot of photographers leave the beach as soon as the sun goes down. That is their first mistake. Stay there for like 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes afterward. You're gonna get that nice color bleed in the sky. I also use it when there's particles in the air. So for me, that means big surf. Some of you guys might deal with fog. That's a great time to backlight. Anytime that there's things happening in the air, you want to backlight them. And then, of course, to enhance the silhouette. So here's one that I took for Blue Hour. This couple booked me because they love my sunset shots, but when the sun hit the horizon, the sun was like over here, it completely died. There was no color left. There was nothing interesting happening. But I turned around behind us, and I saw this nice color gradient happening. So I put them on the end of this pier. I have all my exit stuff up here. I used the MagSphere. It's about 5 feet behind them. She had this long, beautiful veil. I wanted to highlight that. I didn't want the light directly on them. I wanted to create more of like a soft romantic mood, so I just backlit them, and it really showcased the sky behind them. This is another bride. She's actually one of my few local couples. I do like 99% destination weddings. So she knows what a good Maui sunset looks like, and she did not get one on her wedding day, and she was so very sad. But she got what I call second sunset. So this was actually 30 minutes after sunset, and the sky turned this crazy purple that I've never seen before. And I knew that backlighting would be a great way to show off the sky, give them a little pop, and kind of really enhance the scene there. So I used a grid with my sphere for this shot because I didn't want a lot of light spill on the rocks here. I have a little bit of light spill here, but I couldn't even put the light 5 feet back like I usually do because that was the end of the pier. Hawaii problems. So I only have it like 2 feet back there. I have it on a quarter power. As I said, I usually do the half or the full power, but I just lowered that a little bit so then that way I didn't have to put the flash so far back. And so for this one, I use the same setup here. I have the sphere and the grid to control the spill. I also got really low, so then that way any spill that was happening, I'm not gonna really see it because of the grass. So they're actually on the sand here, and I'm like crouching down in all this dune grass, and I have the light behind them. You can see the spill a little bit on the sides, but for the most part I kept it condensed, so that way I could bring out the texture in the sky and just do a nice clean silhouette around them. So anytime we have big surf, and I look at surf reports before I go out, again, you guys aren't feeling bad for me. If it's gonna have high surf, I know that I wanna pull out my backlight because it's gonna have all the particles lighting up in the air. This is one of my favorite shots that I did. This is, again, it's like 15 minutes post-sunset. This is my contact sheet for it. I put the couple up on these rocks here. And I mean, yeah, it looks nice. Okay, that's all right. But what I noticed was that we had the high surf, right? Obviously, I know I wanted to backlight them. I have a quarter CTO on this as well. What I did, I noticed that the waves were coming in, and the light was pointing straight out toward me. But I thought, well, what if I just took my light and turned it a little bit, so then that way it would catch a wave when it came? So I drew a line in the sand exactly where I was standing. I ran up there, because again, I solo shoot, and I just turned the light just a touch, and I got that one there. So I have a sphere on there. I also have the 1/4 CTO on it. I wanted to make my light a little bit warmer on them. And then it illuminated the wave. We just had to wait for that wave to come. I call this one angel light. When we have super, super high surf, we'll get angel light. I want to blast them with full power. I have the MagSphere on here. I have the 1/4 CTO, and I use the 1/4 CTO because I wanted to lower my Kelvin a bit to bring out the blues here, and I also used a lower shutter speed. Those waves were crashing big time. They were really loud. They couldn't hear me over there. I just said, every time a wave comes, I want you guys to kiss. So they were just constantly kissing. And then we got this, what I call angel light, because you have like the rays coming out from them. Obviously, you guys have seen shots like this before, right? I took this one like 2 weeks ago. We had a freak rainstorm move in. I literally had like 3 seconds to set this up before it was bad news bears downpour. A sphere, a 1/4 CTO. I did it so fast, you guys. I mean, look, like 1/1000th of a second. If I was taking my time with this shot, I would not have shot it with that high of a shutter speed. But just because the rain was coming, we needed to get out. I didn't have anything to protect me. That is what happened. But that's how easy MagMod makes it to make a shot like this. When, you know, this rainstorm's coming in, we gotta get out. Just throw on the sphere and the CTO, full power, kiss, let's get out of here. And then for this one, this is another sphere. I don't have a CTO on this, but I just upped my Kelvin because I wanted to match kind of the warm colors in the sky. There's actually a blowhole over here. So we had high surf, but the wind was blowing this way, so I knew that I wasn't going to get a lot of the particles in the air unless I positioned myself this side of the blowhole. So I was waiting for the waves to come up through the blowhole, the waves to come this way. I just had them walk. And actually, I did have a gal holding the light, kind of tracking her like this as we walked. This is my friend, so I just had another friend hold the light for her. Backlighting for silhouettes. This is a really good example of how using a backlight with the MagMod modifiers can really pull your couple from the background. This is another hurricane happening back over here. They also wanted a nice sunset, didn't get it, but they got a great shot like this that they absolutely love. So I found the white space in between these palm trees. I put them there, but it's not clean enough. You can't see where her hair is. You can't see anything that's going on other than palm trees, people, palm trees. Hello? Okay. So then I just threw on the MagSphere. I kept a grid on there because I wanted to control the spill a little bit in case I wanted to back up. And full power, pointed it up a little bit so that way I could get a touch more of this rain happening, and it really helps pull them from the background. Here's another one. This is totally stylistic, right? This is like what you like, what the eye goes to. I like the clean silhouette on this one. My couple actually like this one better because they're like, we can't see our faces. Well, here you go. I just threw a light on for this one. Actually, I think I had the light there, but I just did one with it on and one with it off, and then they could choose which one they wanted for their album. So MagSphere, MagGrid to control the spill. And then I use 70 to 200 to give it a little bit of compression on that. So this is another thing that I like to do. When I see flash photography, I just don't, is this going on and off? Hello? Use my big teacher voice for you guys. I'm out of practice with that. So I like to make the portrait pop without being too flashy. Woo. Of course, I'm the one that have technical difficulties.
I think it's a battery.
It's a battery problem. Hello? Maybe? It's right here. I don't know. Hello? Is this not working?
It's gone now.
I'm just gone. Can you guys hear me? No? Okay. Oh my God. Hello? Hello, hello, hello? No? No. I don't know.
Is the other one turned off here? We can dance.
It's literally my worst nightmare, but everyone look at Trevor. Yes. Oh, hey, I'm back. Okay. Oh my God. Thank you. It wasn't like I was on a roll or anything. Okay. So I like it when the portrait pops just a little bit. You can't even tell that you've used flash on it. So like even this one, it was a little bit too hot here. I have a shadow there, but my typical setup for this is one flash, 7 feet in front of the couple at a 45. I started at 8 the power if it's sunset, and then I adjust from there. I just want enough light to touch them and be done with it. I use a sphere and a grid. I like the fall off that the grid creates, so then that way it's not like they're blasted and it's creating these crazy shadows on the ground. I use it when I need to pull the couple from the background. So here's another MagMod user here, Mark Willis Photography. He's awesome. This one is without flash. This one was a sphere only. You would never be able to tell. But it's just because I had it on a low enough power to pull them from the background and they're not getting lost.
Is that on camera or off camera?
This is off camera. Yep, the flash is right here. So here's another one. The difference is so subtle. It's so subtle. We hiked up like a mile up onto this ridge to get this shot here. You can actually see my flash. I kept it in for this. Here it's not firing, and here it is. It's so subtle, but it helps really pull them from the background. And this one too. This is not a Maui shot, obviously. It's in San Francisco. I got to stalk this seagull, which was like one of my favorite things about this photo. I had the flash right here in this couple. It was raining, and of course I stalked the seagull, and then as soon as it took off, I just fired away. But I have the flash on them. It doesn't look too flash. It looks a little more flashy than the last one I showed you, but it's just enough to freeze them and pull them out from this busy background and not totally distract you from everything else that's happening.
Get used to it.
So reception lighting, I'm gonna do this like super duper fast. So I do 3 lights for a reception. I do 1 on either side, and then I have 1 on my camera in case I need to flash whatever moment is happening, right? I like dramatic lighting on the dance floor. I like it when not everything is just blown out light. I like directional light. So right here, I have another flash on my camera, but it's not firing. They had like a whole choreographed dance. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. But I have 1 flash coming here, 1 flash coming here. It's just diagonally lit. And I position myself so then that way, when the lights are going off at the same time, I can see the directional light coming in. So that way I'm not too far in front or too far behind. Otherwise, you're just gonna get this weird side light on either of them. You have to really be careful of where you're positioning yourself to get this kind of dramatic lighting. This is the grid, and then I also have CTOs on there, so because it's nicer on the skin tones. This is nothing super awesome to write home about. We also had particles in the air here because we had high surf, but I just have one. This actually should be kind of flipped around here, but he's being backlit, and then I have 1 coming in from the side. And then this is the same exact setup. My flash on my camera is not firing. I just have 1 coming in from over here, and then 1 rim light over here, waiting until they turn into the light. And then luckily he was just telling jokes the whole time, so it was just moment after moment, and I could wait until they turned into the light. Okay, my last little part here. Oh, I'm going really fast. This is great. Okay. I wasn't sure how fast I would be going. So this is just something I started dabbling in, was doing double exposures. I'm a Nikon shooter, so a little bit more difficult than Canon. Canon. Oh, what day is it? I don't even know. So use 1 to 2 flashes for this, one shooter, and it's all about trial and error. And it's about finding the dark spots and putting the second exposure, which is typically my couple, into that dark spot. So this couple, they got married in this beautiful mango orchard with these hanging lights and these little fairy jars. It was so beautiful, right? But they got married in the middle of the day. What's the point of having like fairy lights in a jar if it's not going to be nighttime and you can't see? So I knew I wanted to create something for them with that. We ended up doing a whole nother series, but I went into that orchard and I just played with a really slow shutter speed and just taking my camera and like doing crazy stuff. And this is one of the shots that I got with that. So here's my white space right here. So I knew that this would be my first shot and I was gonna have to get my couple into the center here. Now we don't have a lot of walls in Hawaii weddings. This is another Hawaii problem you guys aren't gonna feel bad for me about, or for. So we had to go find something for me to make a clean silhouette on. We found this, this is like one of those privacy walls where they don't want you to see anything that's going on in the kitchen. There's a porta potty right here, so it smelled really good while we were doing this. Like, why are you taking us over by a porta potty? It's like, just trust me. So I used a pink light, which is one of their wedding colors. And then I knew in post I could change the Kelvin here and make it blue. So the pink and the blue complement one another. In camera, I just laid them on top of each other, and that's the image I got. And obviously, like I cleaned up the line in Photoshop. I got rid of that guy. This is one of my favorite double exposures that I've done. We had this really awesome moonrise that was happening offshore. It came up over Lanai. Oh gosh, hello. Of course, I'm the one that has issues. It's coming up over Lanai, and the moon was actually an orange color, which I don't see very often. So I knew that I wanted a picture with the couple and the moon, but I wanted to make it a little more interesting than how I'd typically done it before. So this is the first shot that I took. So I had a sphere and a CTO on it, because I didn't want this to be like super, super green. I want it to be a little bit softer. And the sphere, of course, makes a nice soft light. And this is the first shot that I took. And obviously, like, I wanted to zoom in a little bit more. I wanted to get rid of this. Like, that's distracting. So I zoomed into 200 millimeters with my 70 to 200, 1/32 power. You can see the green from the palm, of course, but then there's also other color in there, and that's from the DJ lights. The DJ lights just kept hitting this palm frond, and I thought it was really cool. So I finally got it dialed in, and I took this shot here, and here's my white space. So then I grabbed my couple, and I put one flash in front of each of them. We have like a little bit of spill here. We're not going to worry about that. But I put the flash in front of each of them, so then that way they would both be equally silhouetted. The flash was on one person versus the other. And I had them just look at the moon. So, here's the tree here, and then the rest of the scene, I just had them like right here. So just look at the moon. I'm gonna fire off some shots. So I did it at 70 millimeters. So then that way they would be in proportion. Because if I zoomed into 200, I wouldn't be able to get their full bodies. And then that was the final product. I just layered them on top of one another. Okay, so quick overview. Solo shooting portraits, one light setups. Make sure you're using your backlight when it's appropriate, if you have particles in the air during the blue hour, or if you want to separate silhouettes. Reception lighting, 2 to 3 flashes to keep it dramatic and keep your light directional. And then using double exposure with MagMod to create creative portraiture, doing something a little bit different that you wouldn't be able to do necessarily in one frame in camera. Everything is trial and error, and failure is a part of that. So when you're messing with new products, you're doing new things, you're going to fail, and you're going to fail a lot. And there's shots that you saw in here that I tried with other couples that never worked. But you just have to try again, learn every time, and fake it till you make it, which is what I'm doing every day, all day. This is me falling back into a bush. So you can follow along with me. I'm Angela Nelson Photo on Instagram. If you're ever on Maui, drop me a line. Love to grab coffee or beer with photographers who are visiting from all over the world. And if you have any questions, I think I have a little bit of time. Woo! Yay!
Yeah, you guys, we have about 5 minutes or so. So if you guys have some questions for Angie, by all means. Any questions?
Any questions? It's okay if you don't. Yeah. I shoot with the 850.
Oh, and make sure if you do ask a question, you repeat their question.
Oh, okay. He asked what I shot with. I shoot with a Nikon D850. I also have an 810, but the 850 is my usual body that I shoot with.
Do you have any post-production double exposures, or do you always try to get it?
I always do. Yes. Thank you. So he asked if I ever do post-production double exposures. I always do double exposures in camera, just because my Photoshop knowledge is super, super limited, and I feel like I had to set it up to retouch up a lot for stuff like that. So I would rather just nail it in camera, and then that way I can just manipulate it however I need to very easily in post later.
Convince your companies to go out into the waves.
So Joss asked, how do I convince my couples to go out into the waves? They know when they book me, if they want the shots that I show on my website, that they're probably going to get wet and sandy. I rarely ever have a bride who's just like, I don't want to get my dress dirty, because you're in Maui, and if you're a Maui bride, you're going to have salty hair, and you're gonna have sand all over you, and you might have a thorn in your foot, because that's how things happen. So I really set expectations early, and they know that if they want the shot, they're gonna have to take risks to do that. Yeah.
So you mentioned the sphere setup, the boxes as well, to shoot to the beach, or is that just like
So he asked if I use the mag box when I go to the beach. I don't. And that's because a lot of time when I'm on the beach and I'm doing portraits and things like that, I'm solo shooting, and our wind is just so gnarly. There's no way that I can use the box. I have to have things that are light and easy and quick to set up. I love the box, it's amazing, but for solo shooting, I can't do it, no. Anyone else?
Any questions?
Yeah.
did you become a photographer and move to Maui, or were you already living there and started doing weddings?
So he asked if I was a photographer and moved to Maui. No, I was a high school English teacher that moved to Maui and then started building this on the side, and then I decided that I was no longer going to teach anymore and I was going to do this. So I built my business in between like after school lessons and staff meetings.
I'll say one thing I love about Angie is that she realized the industry in Maui, like all the photographers, being that it was so small, it was like, hey, we can either compete each other and keep driving prices down, or we can try to work together and say, hey, let's figure out how we can all sustain ourselves. So she did an amazing job in like building that community of photographers in Maui. So that's something that's on your mind as far as like, how can I help my local community? Check her out. So, guys, thank you so much. We got
Thank
like
you.
about a 5-minute break.